Alright, so I warp in on this Gila, and right from the get-go, it's obvious that it was bait. It was MWD fit, completely ready for me. It does a good job keeping range from me. If I get close, I just snap it with con flag. But despite its well-kept range, it's getting hit pretty hard. So the Falcon warps in and jams me right before the Gila goes down. But either the rats or my drones, I think it was the rats, finished off the Gila. And I just leave. It was a pretty feel-good moment. Their ECM trap didn't pan out because the PvP fit Gila couldn't tank the rats. And that's kind of how you want fights to go. I felt fantastic afterwards. You always feel so good when something like this happens. But that's not always how things go, right? So this next engagement is a heck of a story, but maybe not the fantastic storybook ending that you want. As you can see, I really can't quite tank the Praxis. But a hero emerges and tries to come to my rescue. A neutral Falcon pilot who was very vocal about his distaste for fraternity was in local. And he jumped into this engagement on my side. I attacked a fraternity Praxis, and I didn't really expect to be able to tank it, but Praxises are like the one thing in the game that's slower than a Harbinger, and I was okay with that. So I was just trying my luck. Maybe it's terribly fit, but the Falcon jams it, and I should have probably dove in earlier than I did when the Falcon had it jammed to try to just finish it off faster with con flag. But I was a little wary of getting close. I managed to snap a Hakare that tackles me, but I don't leave this one. I don't get out. I should have seen local increasing and been aligned sooner than I was. I probably could have gotten out if I had been paying better attention to local increasing. Like, I know fraternity is gonna have friends a lot of the time. They're really, really, really good at responding, and this is no exception. They have a force on us pretty quickly, and I should have been more aware. This is actually one of the fights from when I was dual boxing a tackle scepter and trying that out. It's something I do sometimes. Sometimes I just want to run one client. Sometimes I wanna run two clients. I usually call this self fleet as opposed to soloing to differentiate. But both the characters on field right now in fleet are me. Melody is my scepter, and I miscontrol the scepter in this engagement, but it's really interesting engagement. I actually start the engagement thinking that I'm tackling it with the scepter, tackling the Vexor Navy with the scepter, but I actually tackled it with the Harbinger and like killed it like immediately, and I was like really surprised because I thought that I was on the scepter screen. I like mixed up which screen I was looking at. After the Navy Vexor goes down, a Legion and an Omen Navy land, and I tunnel vision pretty hard on the Legion. You'll see the Omen Navy get really close to me trying to do higher damage, and I do switch to it, but I don't turn on it like I should. I should have just been able to snap it, especially with the scepter that could have scrammed it when it was just kind of sitting 10 kilometers from me. And it was just, I was so obsessed with getting the Legion, and I probably couldn't have got the Legion, so I should have just snapped the Omen Navy and left. So I walk out of this one with the kill of the Vexor, and I live. But I don't really feel good about it, because I should have at least snapped the Omen Navy. There's really no excuse for me not snapping the Omen Navy. It was basically a free kill with how it flew. It's sad that I didn't get the Legion, because I possibly could have killed it in a 1v1 situation if it didn't leave fast enough, but the Legion really wasn't in the cards with the Omen also there, and I should have just turned on the Omen hard and taken the Omen kill as opposed to not getting either kill. I expect to be able to snap this Flycatcher a lot faster than I do. When the Flycatcher holds as well as it does and I see the Bargus coming on descan, I'm pretty much certain that I'm going to die. The buff to the Flycatcher, or the change I should say, the change to the Flycatcher and the Heretic really made those two ships a lot sturdier than they were, and they're honestly really, really good. If this was a Saber, it would have been dead like immediately, but it is quite tanky. So the Bargus pilots said that their mids were pretty toasty to keep up with me, so maybe there's a chance I could have broken the point, but I think the better play would have been to crash gate and see if I can de-aggress. And if I get through one rapid heavy reload, maybe I can. But that's a pretty big ask. I don't know that after the Bargus gets point on me if there is a possible way to escape, but I wish that I could have a chance to try crashing gate and just see what happens. Maybe I live for a minute. So I get another crack at the Bargus pilot from before. Outside of an ESS in the dead space grid, I burn off, and they burn at me with the sacrilege, and the ESS grid allows me to get just a one-on-one fight with the previous Bargus pilot, Harbinger or sacrilege. The dead space grid around the ESS gate means that nobody can warp to the sacrilege. If they are off grid and they warp to the sacrilege, they land at 0 on the gate, or up to 100 from the gate if they warp at range. Nobody on grid can warp to another point on grid, so if you want to get to where I am on a dead space grid, you have to burn. It's fantastic for getting fights that won't be interrupted as quickly. I recommend it for anybody in faction warfare or null to use complexes or ESS grids in this way. So I beat the sacrilege, but my victory was short-lived. I decided to keep playing with them, and I tried to burn several jumps to string them out by warp speed. And I only end up killing a slasher, and then dying to the gang when I try to dive on a Cerberus that is pretty well tanked. And it was fun to try, so I'm not too upset about it. But if I wanted to play it safe, I wouldn't have as much fun with the game. So for this next one, I see an Ash Moo sitting on a gate via my D-scan, and I warp over to the gate at range and hope the Ash Moo like charges me to get into web range. I can scorch it a bit. Expecting it to also be pulse, it ends up not being pulse, but I warp to range and hope to start playing with it, but a Hakare tries to land on me, and I had already aligned to the ESS to do my whole ESS shenanigans, so I immediately warped to the ESS. I warped at 70 and they warped at 100. This gave me a little bit of breathing room, which is really good. I had some chance to lock the Hakare before it started to apply damage to me before I got scrammed. And the Hakare goes down like most Hakares do, fast and hard. And then I start unloading into the Ash Moo. You can see some of the friends are landing well off of me. This is thanks to the dead space grid around the SS. And this part of the kerfuffle really shows the strength of instant switching of ammo. The fact that I can go from Conflag straight into Scorch with no delay is so good. Look at how far away that Ash Moo is when it goes down. Scorch is so good, especially with the double Locust build I'm running. And then I warp away with low capacitor, which means I land in a safe spot because I don't have enough capacitor to warp the whole way, which works out better than if I did, because they really can't chase me, especially since I snapped their combat prober when the Hakare died. When things work out this well, you really, really feel good. It especially after the night I had here, I had a really bad start to my night. I lost two ships without killing anything. And then I just had like a run of some good fights, and luck evens out. You just gotta keep at it. You have to not be discouraged. Keep practicing, learn from your mistakes. Your day will come. Knowing the ship that you're fighting against and giving it respect is key to winning any sort of engagement. Here's a textbook fight against a Demos where I respect the Demos just enough to hurt it to the point where I can turn on it and finish it off. If I turn too quickly, the Demos definitely kills me. If I don't turn, it gets away. But I give it just the right amount of respect, and I play this one pretty much as well as I could have hoped for. It's good to be able to show you guys some stuff that's not out in the SS grid. On the other hand, what happens when you don't give a ship the respect it deserves? I land and the Gila warps away and I start killing its mobile tractor unit. But an Ishtar warps in, and I should have expected it to be a PvE Ishtar, but I took a few shots as I was approaching, and it it went down really fast. It was going down really fast. It must have been a PvE Ishtar, is what I thought at least. But it was a really, really good pilot who made me think that it was a PvE Ishtar. And when I just sort of went hard in on the PvE Ishtar to finish it off real quick, it scrammed me. I was heckin' bamboozled, and it was really well played. If I didn't get scrammed, I could have just killed it at long point range with Scorch. Pretty much no problem. But the pilot was really good at just baiting me in, and I was careless. I didn't respect the Ishtar, and I paid for it. I switched from conflict to multi-frequency for the better tracking because it's afterburner fit and it's on top of me. But it's just not enough. The Ishtar right on top of me is tanking perfectly fine. It got close, but at this point I'm just praying to nude it off, and I don't.